Hello and welcome to another edition of the Door 14 Hockey Podcast. I'm the host Marty alongside Dave,
Hello.
John,
Hello.
thank you, and Aaron.
Hey.
It's a full house. I wonder why. We will get to that after. That's obviously the main reason why we brought one of the main reasons why we brought the podcast forward by a week. You are hearing us 1 week after our last one, which is probably like a record for us, having put out episodes 1 week apart, which is actually less than a week as well. If you're watching this live, the podcast will go out on Friday as normal. But if you're watching this live, it's been less than a week, so it's kind of crazy. Boys, how are we doing? Dave, how are you?
Fantastic.
Good. I wonder why. Yeah, it's probably just a silly question to ask us to all of you, but how you doing? Anything? John, how are you doing over there in Scottyland?
Top of the world, mate. Top of the world. Things have never smelt clearer.
Yeah,
Smell
good.
clear,
Yeah.
okay.
And Aaron, how are you doing?
Yeah, things have never smelt clear.
Well, doesn't really.
Not only have we got many things to celebrate, but the sun is shining. The sun is just amazing at the moment. With last week, we have many things to celebrate. So yeah, it's all good.
I don't know if it's just the way the lighting is focused on your face at the moment, Aaron, or if you've just been outside and you look sunburned, because you look very red right now in my screen.
Goddamn beautiful.
I was outside for all of 5 minutes today. Not meaning to brag.
Oh wow!
Is that not 4 minutes more than the General Medical Council say that Irish people should be in the sun?
Pretty much. So that's why
from-
it's a little bit red today.
It's from a sunbed. It's not from
Well, boys, as I joked around, the four of us are together on the podcast this week for probably the one of the big reasons that we will be talking about, and one of the reasons why we're all pretty much wearing something.
I was about to
Giant.
give off it, John. What the hell? I appreciate the. Okay.
Here we go.
There we go.
I was ready. Don't you worry.
If you're a regular to our podcast, before we get into our period one, we usually run through the league standings. But I thought we would change it around a wee tiny bit this week. We'll do our league standings in period one, and then we'll look at our NHL standings in period two. I know, what's that, boys? Like me embracing change. It's a massive step for me.
Not only that, you could have told the guy who does the slides.
It's still relevant. It's okay. It's still relevant. You can add the slide in. We're going to do the slides.
It's all right. I'm just panicking. It's all right. Don't worry.
Don't panic. It's all right. I'm sure they're still relevant. Just the NHL one just needs to be moved to period two, but we'll get there. Anyway, boys, with that, I think let's just get stuck in, and we'll get stuck into our period one of hockey. Okay, period one is a roundup of stories from around the UK. As I mentioned already, we're going to go through the standings, but we're going to do it in reverse order this week. So in 10th place, starting the league and finishing the league in the same place is the Fife Flyers with 54 games played, 12 points. The Manchester Storm unfortunately finished 9th on just underneath that playoff spot, having played 54 games and 47 points. The Dundee Stars clinched that last playoff spot, sitting in 8th place with 54 games played, 49 points. The Glasgow Clan sit in 7th with 54 games played, 55 points. The Guildford Flames finished in 6th with 54 games played, 57 points. Coventry Blaze finished 5th with 54 games played, 64 points. The Cardiff Devils finished 4th, 54 games, 68 points. Nottingham Panthers, the Sheffield Steelers, and the Belfast Giants were what we were looking at in the last podcast, and we now know officially where we are with each of those. The Nottingham Panthers finished 3rd with 54 games played at 74 points. The Sheffield Steelers finished 2nd with 54 games played at 77 points. And this year's Elite League champions are the Belfast Giants in first place with 54 games played, 80 points. Boys, this is the reason why all four of us are on the podcast this week, without a doubt. But celebrations, big style here in Belfast, and also obviously in Fife, John. But let's talk about this past weekend. I mean, talk about tense. We had the games on Saturday. The Belfast Giants, obviously, having to take it to the final. The game, the way the game results came on Saturday night, meant that the games on Sunday were even more important. And as we know from our last podcast, the games faced off at exactly the same time at 5:30 on Sunday. Little did we know that it would take to the last 3 minutes in the final period of the final game of the season for the, I suppose, the biggest.
Planned
It was,
all along.
if you couldn't write it this way, but the last 3 minutes were the big decider changes. Now, some people will argue that the Coventry Blaze won it for the Belfast Giants, having basically scored against the Sheffield Steelers. However, and as John obviously is rightly trying to acknowledge there, the Giants did go on in overtime. They did tie it up and went into overtime and did win it in their own right in overtime with the game-winning goal coming in overtime. Boys, I mean, what a roller coaster of a weekend it was in general. I mean, both having nerves on Saturday, but yet on Sunday probably were just double the amount of nerves. How did you boys fare? John, let's go to you first.
Oh, it was mad. One thing I will say, the game against Nottingham, how were we all feeling at 3-1 down, guys? Like that, we didn't catch up in between periods. We did catch up at the end, but I did a couple of TikTok lives in the period breaks. And when we went into the second period break, into that TikTok live, I had about 40 or 50 people watching. And I said, Scott Conway is coming for something. And I said, it's either the game tying goal or the game winning goal. And lo and behold, game tying goal came from Scott Conway. I knew it. I could see it. He was on the doorstep. But yeah, 3-1 down. What did you guys think?
I mean, I think we were all at a point where we were just like in disbelief, shall we say, of just what was just going on. And we kind of, I don't know, I think we all kind of were just fearing the worst. Dave, you kind of tried to give us a bit of motivation going into that, the end of that, towards that end of that game. You sent a nice motivational, was it a GIF or was it just an image on our WhatsApp group, which is fondly named the title of the show this week, Believe, or as we called it, Believed. But I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I mean, that was sheer rough. Intense. It was rough to watch.
All season long, I think you'll agree, Marty, and it's something I've said through every match. It's all for the movie. I think I've said it a number of times throughout this season. The movie wouldn't be interesting if you just won it by Christmas. And this is one of those ones where it's gone. That's a proper, I know it's cliche, but a proper roller coaster. As a fan to watch it, and it's been great games. Some of the best games of ice hockey I've seen in probably a good few years. But also some of the tightest games of the last few years. The league as a whole, barring the situation in Fife, has got so much better. How long has it been since you've seen a 30-point between top to bottom? You know, there's really not a whole hell of a lot in it. And on any given game, it can go any way. We've seen that on Sunday. You know, people who thought games were done and, you know, put to bed, and then it all turns around. And the weekend before, we seen it with Manchester in Belfast as well. You know, so it's only that sort of competitiveness from top to bottom in the league just makes it so much more entertaining to watch. Nerve-wracking, but certainly entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned something that I was going to ask. I mean, the fact that it did come down to the last few minutes of the last game of the of the end of the season, you know, last game of the season, last period. Sorry, yeah. I mean, that's a statement right there of just how strong this league has been this year. I mean, going into that game on Saturday, there was still a chance, an outside chance. There was still a chance for a third runner for the league title, being the Nottingham Panthers. Unfortunately, it didn't.
Do you know what?
Go in their way.
They went hell for leather for it. The game in Belfast on Saturday was. We talked about Sunday Panthers being that loose and easy team who didn't have nothing to play for in the context of the next couple of weeks. They'd certainly still have stuff to play for. But in terms of the league, they had nothing to play for. But Saturday night, they had everything to play for.
Yeah.
And they needed that regulation win. And pulling Hutama at the death in the third to get the regulation win, yeah, that's exactly what you expect of that team. They've done incredibly since Christmas, just before Christmas. They're back when I could be bothered to do those funny little charts. The upward curve of that team was just incredible. It's been brilliant to see the resurgence of the Nottingham Panthers.
Yeah, it was Grande on the ice on
Grande,
Saturday game in Belfast, because he had a phenomenal game. So let's not take away. Unbelievable game.
Sorry.
What I should notice, and Dave, you'll back me up with this. Go into that game on Saturday, coming towards the end of the final period, coming to the final few minutes of that final period. We were following the game. We were following the Sheffield game very closely. Obviously, we know Sheffield were playing Cardiff, and at one point Sheffield were obviously being beaten, and then it drew, and then there was a draw, and then they were tying it up, and right up until that very end of that game, towards the end of that game, obviously it was tied and whatever else. They were 7 minutes behind. I should mention they were 7 minutes. Their clock was 7 minutes behind the Belfast Giants game. So when the Belfast Giants game was completed, there was still there's still about 6 or 7 minutes to be played of that Sheffield Cardiff game. Now, there was the off chance that Cardiff could have scored a goal in those final few minutes to mean that the Giants would have won the league at home on Saturday night. Fortunately, it didn't happen. But what Dave will attest to and what can agree with me was those final few minutes were so intense in that arena. I mean, they done the usual, man of the match, blah, 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 blah. Giants skated off because I don't think the Giants wanted to be on the ice, whatever it was, because obviously they were kind of like, well, let's just continue because we'll just continue on like we haven't won anything, we'll just blah, blah. But the fans that knew what was going on, the hardcore fans who knew what was going on, the possibility was going to be, stayed in their seats. We all stayed standing just in the off chance that it might happen.
Everybody with their phones out.
Everybody with their phones out was just like, oh my God, what's going on? And then people over my shoulder be like, is there any update? And I'm like, no, nothing, no, still blah, blah, blah. And then the Giants did, hopefully I can say this because hopefully the Giants don't get in trouble. It's well known they did this. The Giants put the final few minutes of the Sheffield Cardiff webcast on the screens in the arena, and we all were just all standing watching those final few minutes just silence. I mean, there was literally, you could hear, like, people were just like, what's going to happen? I haven't felt an atmosphere like that in a long, long time in that arena. And it didn't go our way, but it was still amazing.
Yeah, it was strange. Because it was completely outside of our control at that point, and you were sitting watching two other teams who you would rather both lose if that was a possibility, but you needed one of them to win, was just weird. But there was this like sharp intake of breath that we were hoping we were going to see history in the making. We didn't, but it was still it still could have been a very magical situation to be in. And it was really weird.
We would have left it at home, right? Rather than having to wait for
and there's something
drive all the way down from Coventry or whatever.
Well, exactly, because we know that the trophy was in Belfast on Saturday night, just in the off chance that it might have happened, which meant that Mark Brooks had to travel with that cup across the water and go and sit in one of those rests, whatever they're called. What do you call them? The laybys? Is that what it was?
No. This is where it's really, really interesting. A view from the bridge. Paddy had a really, really good chat with Mark about the ins and outs of Sunday night. Okay. And it turns out, going towards the end of the second period, the trophy was in Nottingham. with the result, or the score line in Coventry and the score line in Nottingham, an executive decision was made to start taking the trophy towards Coventry. Now, obviously, we now know things changed. Coventry, we're not going to say did us a favour, but Coventry took that game in regulation, with
They put the
an
nail in
incredibly
Yeah.
with an incredibly well worked goal with a absolutely enormous screen in front of Watling, or in front of Greenfield. Sorry, Casper the Friendly Ghost doing his best to screen for Coventry there. Actually, one of my favourite ones was who was screening him, John Cena.
If for anybody, sorry, we should just point out for anybody who doesn't realize who is on top of that joke, the Sheffield social media manager put out an X or whatever you want to call it, a tweet, basically stating that Greenfield was being screened at the time of the final goal going in, and it kind of blocked his ability to be able to. But if you actually go and watch it, there was actually no screening happening whatsoever. There was nobody in front of him. It was completely open, and
So
it's clear as day.
The empty seats distracting Nottingham many years ago.
Yeah. Poor excuse. Yeah, exactly. But
That must
sorry,
be
John, I didn't mean to.
that job of the driver for the trophy. Like, could you imagine? You're getting that insight now. Could you imagine previous years, like getting up the road, then getting a message? No, turn back. And it's just that constant going up and down the road, up and down the road as the periods go through.
There's that incredible screen on Greenfield, by the way.
Oh.
Puck is at the high point, and look at all the players between Gressuk and Greenfield there. Just it's incredible that he could even react in the right direction, let alone how he was just beaten by the screen. Absolutely insane. Anyway,
Took away all his vision.
Did I couldn't see it coming. But anyway, so the trophy was on its way towards Coventry, and it was only basically with the result of the Sheffield game. Now, there ended up being around 2 minutes between the end of the game in Sheffield and in Coventry, and because the game in Nottingham went to overtime between them finishing. So basically, once the final buzzer had gone in Coventry, Mark Brooks spun that car around and made his way straight back to the NIC to make sure that trophy was there. But it did take something like 45 minutes for that trophy to arrive in Nottingham for the Belfast Giants to lift. But some of the social media that's come out of it has been absolutely fantastic. The Giants just chilling on the ice, Bobo Carpenter dancing away to himself, guys just chilling on the benches, guys doing snow angels, like absolutely, like that was a team in their element. Yes, it was hilarious, and one of the funniest things that came out of it was Adam Keefe's interview on the ice with the NIC's MC for the night. It was, he didn't understand why the trophy was on its way to Coventry and it wasn't in Nottingham ready for the real champions. Just Adam Keefe, heartbeat, mate, heartbeat.
One thing that has to be said is huge props go to Nottingham's webcast for staying on and letting us all see that.
Yes.
I would say there would be plenty others that would have went, turn the lights off, see you later.
Yeah.
But no, huge.
And there should be also a mention for those Nottingham Panthers fans who were clearly seen in the background, who stayed to watch the Belfast Giants lift that trophy. Fair play to them as well for staying around and watching some silverware get lifted in their arena. Just sadly not by their own team, by the Belfast Giants.
I understand the want to do that, but would you? Like Dave, you pretty much answered it there that you wouldn't. Would you stay in your own barn to watch another team? Like we didn't stay the year that Nottingham lifted in our barn.
I ran out faster than the confetti hadn't even touched the ice, and I was outside.
Just so no one saw the tears coming out of your eyes.
I think we were in Rockies before Stephen Murphy had left the ice.
yeah, probably. I was out there like a shot.
It was a bit like the playoffs as well when the Giants were put out. One of our, I think it's maybe our second year. I don't think Aaron was there. I think it was the three of us were there maybe, and it was the Cardiff Sheffield final.
Injured.
Yeah, it was the Cardiff Sheffield final. And it went into overtime and it went into penalties. And I think the three of us just made an executive decision. You know what? Do we really care? I think we have a reservation for a certain chicken. No, we had a reservation for a certain chicken shop. And we ended up going there. Because we're like, we'll miss it if we don't go. So yeah, but Belfast
One
Giants are. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, you're absolutely right. Belfast Giants are Elite League champions, and guys, one thing that has come out of it is an interesting stat that I caught across the last couple of days.
Yeah, Yep.
And the Belfast Giants are now the most successful team in the Elite League era, with seven league titles, 2 playoff titles, and 6 cup titles. Absolutely incredible stats for a team when you consider it's a team that's only 25 years old.
yeah.
Yep.
So it works out at something daft, like a trophy every other year, or at least every other year for their existence. It's bonkers.
More than?
More than, yeah. You can do doubles up, and like it's the rafters are getting pretty busy. Put it that way.
They are
and they're all
indeed.
for trophies, John.
With the Belfast Giants, obviously cementing that final place and becoming the Elite League champions for this year, that also means they have secured their position in the CHL for next season. So they will be playing Champions Hockey League in the 2025-2026 hockey season. So we will be looking forward to seeing that draw and to see where the Belfast Giants will be heading for their away games come about August, September time later this year. Sorry. Also, with the Belfast Giants clinching the top spot and the final places all being decided, that means we now have one last trophy this season to be played for, and that will be the playoff trophy, which playoff starts this coming weekend with the quarterfinal games starting this weekend. So the teams are, John, do you want to run through the quarterfinal matchups?
Yep, so first matchup is the Belfast Giants, who obviously came first as champions, will face the Dundee Stars, who finished in 8th. The Sheffield Steelers will face the Glasgow Clan. The Nottingham Panthers will face the Guildford Flames, while the Cardiff Devils will face the Coventry Blaze. Most of those games are set to take place over Saturday and Sunday of this week, with one interesting difference being the first leg of the Sheffield-Glasgow tie will be played this Friday. So it will be the only game played on Friday this week, will be that first leg between those two teams.
There we go. Coventry or Glasgow. I was reading. I think made some kind of mistake in relation to the release of their quarterfinal tickets or something. I was reading. I don't know the full details. All I seen was that the Glasgow Clan had to put out an apology, almost tweet to say that they're aware of an issue that happened with the tickets being released and that they had to guarantee and almost, I think, dampen down fears from the season ticket holders that their playoff game or the playoff ticket was safe.
Their ticketing provider has made some sort of mistake. Now, what they've said, they put out a statement, I think, earlier today, saying that tickets were on hold essentially until a certain time, and fans could secure those. But they were also asking for season ticket holders who wouldn't be attending to send an email in, effectively releasing their seats for general sale. So it's not been straightforward. Nottingham as well, I think you mentioned, Marty, Nottingham have had a bit of a mare with theirs as well. They had an issue with their ticketing provider as well about the release of their playoff tickets, but I think that's now been sorted, and tickets are now basically available. And I believe pretty much all 8 games are approaching sellouts now. Belfast, I know, is very, very soon to being sold out. Sheffield, very close to being sold out. And Nottingham, I believe, now very close to being sold out on their home games.
I did see that. I think it was both Coventry and Cardiff both asking, similar to Glasgow, that if any fans, the buyback scheme that they have in place, so if any fans can't make it for their playoff games or whatever it is, or they haven't bought their tickets, if they can let them know so they can release those as well. I think there's a whole big thing around that too. So it's interesting to see that they're. We talked about it already in our previous podcast. Obviously, attendance figures being up, but again, this will show these next 8 games complete pretty much sellouts, and exciting hockey still to come, and still one more trophy up for grabs. We obviously don't talk about the word, but we hope that we can head that direction and we see another trophy lifted by the boys in teal. But boys, we'll move on.
No, No, we're not, because we're going to do what every podcast does. These are quarterfinals. Let's have a talk about Final Four, shall we? So, out of sheer curiosity and morbid curiosity, I took a delve back through our social media from the start of the season and had a look at our predictions that we made. Now, famously, our predictions are based around selecting from the 9 other teams, not including Belfast. Now, obviously, we know that 2 of the trophies have already landed and secured their spot for next season in the trophy cabinet in the SSE Arena. But looking at playoffs in particular, guys, would you like to know what your original predictions were back 6-7 months ago?
I know what mine was, and I can tell you what mine was.
Go for it, Murray. What was yours?
I think I said Nottingham Panthers for the playoffs this year.
You did indeed. You said the Nottingham Panthers for playoffs. Dave, Can you remember what you said? Or was it just a spur-of-the-moment thing and you've no idea?
I have a feeling I said Cardiff, but I think I could be wrong.
You did. You said the Cardiff Devils. Aaron, no pressure. Do you know who you said?
I think I went Cardiff as well.
You did not. You went for the Sheffield Steelers.
Did I?
You said the Devils for the league.
Did I? Oh, well.
Yep. And Marty, I was with you. I went for the Panthers for the playoffs. But that's notwithstanding the Belfast Giants. So, guys, we've got 4 ties here. Who do we think makes the final 4? Let's do that first, and then we'll come back to talk about who we think the champions will be, because by the time we come back here, we will be looking at the trophy having been awarded. So let's run through that. I'll go first. I'm going to use my privilege as the person who's currently speaking and give you my final 4. I'm going to go Belfast Giants. I think they're just far too much on Dundee. Dundee are making big on social media about the last time they were in the SSE and they got that 3-2 win in the SSE. But over 2 games for something as important as playoffs, I think Belfast Giants will make it through to Nottingham. Sheffield Glasgow is an interesting tie. I think Sheffield will be one of 2 teams. They will either be a scolded, wounded, angry team, or they could be a team right down in the dumps and out of it. But when you consider they're up against the Glasgow Clan, who, yes, have found a bit of form at the end of the season, do I think they've got enough to overcome that Sheffield Steelers team? No, I don't. So I think the Sheffield Steelers will take that. Nottingham Guildford, I don't think anyone will touch that Panthers team in that tie. I think those potentially are blowout games, especially if they get the sort of net minding that they had over the last weekend. And the most interesting tie for me is the last one, Cardiff Devils and the Coventry Blaze. I genuinely think after that last weekend, I think the Coventry Blaze could take that over the Cardiff Devils. And I think Coventry Blaze will make their way to Nottingham for the playoff final weekend. Aaron, I'm going to come to you next. I'm just going to go up the line.
You read my exact thoughts, honestly. I was 1 for 1 all the way through, and then at the end I thought you were going to go for Cardiff, and I was like, no, like yourself, I'm thinking Blaze. I think how the Blaze played last week, but we didn't really. You hinted at it in when we were talking about chance becoming champions. I mentioned in the chat that we were definitely seeing. I felt a different thing when it came to the Blaze and Cardiff and all, when they didn't have much to play for. They were just out playing, and the pressure getting to the Steelers and getting to the Giants, and we saw that on the Sunday definitely. But I still think the Blaze played exceptionally well. If they can play like that, they'll definitely get through.
And you're the same for the other 3, so you're just copying me basically. You've looked over and you're copying my homework.
Pretty much, but I agree with your homework.
Okay, that's fine. That looks better. You change the color of your pen. That's fine.
That's it.
Even if we have the same answers. Dave, what about you?
I'm going with the whole left sides. I think that it's going to be Giants, Steelers, Nottingham, and Cardiff. I think Pete Russell won't let we won't let that go that easily this year. I think with everything up for grabs and how unbelievable Cardiff were at the start of the season, um, I think they'll really want to claw something back to get something out of the season. And I do think that they are, as you said, like a wounded animal. They're going to go into this game with something to prove. Um, I think the final four is going to be an absolute monster of a series. Um, and it's going to be anyone's game once you get past that first hurdle. I think this is going to be the whole thing's going to be a nightmare. This is going to be such a big hurdle to get to the final four. Um, and then that weekend, it's going to be a flip of the coin, whatever team turns up on the night. And it's just going to be
It's going to be a
end-to-end
flip of the
stuff.
coin every single game. The way that
Yeah.
the going by the last couple of games in general, the last couple of weeks, it has been a flip of the coin.
So
Yep.
it'll be I would say they'll all be tight games. I don't think any of them are going to be blowouts. I think all these matchups for the quarterfinals are going to be tough. I even think that Dundee game is not to be sniffed at. The Giants need to go into it with a playoff mentality. They need to treat this like a proper playoff game,
Oh yeah,
which will.
100%. Yeah.
If they go in with some of the mentality that they had for some of those league games, Dundee could walk it. We've seen it a few times this season. They need to go in with it in their head that they're at risk of losing this, so they have to go treat it like a proper game. And I think that goes for all of those big four. They need to go in with it in their head that they could lose. They can't go in thinking they've won it.
Okay. And Marty, obviously same question. Pick your final four.
Yeah, I'm going to claim that I did my homework first, because I'm going to go agree with you guys. I'm going to go with John and Aaron on this one. I think it's going to be Coventry will take that last spot, and I think then I know, Dave, what you were saying, and I kind of agree with what you're saying in some ways, that Pete Russell has to kind of almost kind of have this as a consolation prize for what has been a very poor domestic run. Yes, they won the Continental Cup.
Displaced destiny.
Yeah, and you could say people can argue whether or not that was, they won it by default, obviously, because the biggest team obviously couldn't, we all know, had issues with visas and stuff and trying to get access to the games and stuff. So we all know that what happened there. But I genuinely believe that Coventry will take the final spot in the final four, and that will result in questions being asked towards Todd Kelman at the end of the season about the Cardiff Devils and how do they recoup such a poor domestic season for another season, because this will be another season where that has happened. So interestingly, boys, we've picked our final four. What about do you feel that you want to change your decisions on who you think will take the playoff spots or who will win the playoffs overall? And I'm going to do what John did. I'm going to do what John did. I'm going to take because I'm talking now. I'm going to go first.
How very dare you?
Being the host of the podcast, I'm going to stick with my
rank as well.
I'm going to stick with my original belief that if the Belfast Giants don't take it, this playoffs, I genuinely think that the Nottingham Panthers are dangerous, especially given the run they've had towards the end of the season. I think the Nottingham Panthers are dangerous and will win the playoffs, and I'm going to stick with who I decided at the start of the year and stick with that. Dave, let's go to you next. We're going to go down the way. Dave,
no change for me. I'm still going with Cardiff as the winner of the playoff for the exact same reasons. Any given weekend, that Cardiff team is a menace, and could take it. And I think that they have as much to prove as everybody else. And I think having won a bit of silverware, even if it's questionable, I think it'll drive them to get something domestically.
Yep. Aaron?
I'm actually going to go back to my original plan. Yeah. I thought earlier I said Cardiff, but John corrected me and said I said Steelers. I think the Steelers could do it if the Giants don't do it. I think that with getting the treble last year, they haven't won anything this season. They'll be out for it.
Okay, good point. And John, you last but not least.
If not Belfast, I would stick again, similar to you, Marty. I would stick and go. I think the Nottingham Panthers are are strong. It depends what Sheffield team turns up. But based on the matchups that we've kind of, or the final four that we've put down, the matchups are interesting when you consider that for the majority, the three of us who said the Blaze would go through, that becomes a Belfast Coventry semi final and a Sheffield Nottingham semi final, and that's a big semi final in Nottingham with an enormous Nottingham crowd. And I do think that with that backing and with the aggressive and incredibly strong net minding that we've seen out of Nottingham, they could go through. Now, interestingly, while we've been chatting, he's clearly watching and not going into the comments, but he's texting me instead. Mark, our most loyalist fan, is messaging me flat out here, and he wants us to know that his final four is the Belfast Giants, the Sheffield Steelers, the Flames. He says Guildford are gonna do it. He says that they've matched up very well against the Panthers this season, and the Coventry Blaze. And his overall winner for playoffs, Sheffield Steelers.
Oh, interesting.
I'm assuming he's doing our thing and not counting the Giants.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, no, he put the monkey holding its face, so I actually think that he's putting Sheffield potentially over Belfast on that one.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Now, considering, I think it's likely that, I mean, he is basically the extra man. He's our version of Dicko here, so we might have to get him a media pass and ask him to do some interviews depending on what happens here.
Yes, he can also carry his hoosh the whole time. We wouldn't mind. It's okay.
Absolutely. You get 12 hooches in your mark and go do some player interviews.
Boys, let's move on. We've got three more things to talk about in this period before we move on to period two. And that started off with the first story, which is obviously the Fife Flyers putting out a statement at the end of the final game of the season. For anyone who doesn't know, the Fife Flyers had been put up for sale pretty much late January. The current owners made a decision to retire and step down from the ownership of the Fife Flyers following 28 years at the helm. They did want to find obviously someone new to move forward and hopefully take the team forward in the Elite League. So they have acknowledged and made an announcement to say that they're excited to share that an agreement in principle has been reached to secure the future of the Fife Flyers. As paperwork still needs to be completed, we are not in a position to announce the new owners' details just yet, but we hope to do this soon. Our current social media, emails, webpage will remain active during this interim period. This marks the beginning of a new chapter for the club with fresh leadership, new energy, and a shared vision for the building of the proud legacy of the Flyers. While some final steps remain, all parties are committed to a bright and exciting future of hockey in Fife. Thank you for your continued support. The future is in motion. Let's fly forward together. Fife Flyers IHC. So I suppose we are no clear. What we do know is obviously that the Fife Flyers, in principle, have new owners. They just have to cross the I's and dot the T's. Cross the I's and dot the T's? No. Cross the T's and dot the I's and cross the T's. I don't know the first is.
Either way, you end up with I's and T's, mate. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So just the final bits need to be put together. But the question, I suppose, obviously, this statement said, and I'll go back to where it says at the start of the statement. It said the duo wished to find new owners, operators who then could pass the baton on to and who would take the team forward in the Elite League. So is that an indication that the new ownership who have taken over will remain in the Elite League for the 2025-2026 season? What are our thoughts? Dave, let's go to you first.
Yeah, well, that's what I've read into it. The issue with any other decision, you end up with a sort of Edinburgh situation, like problem, where there may not be another league willing to accept them. And yeah, like Edinburgh were meant to be in the EIHL, or was it even the Premier League back then? They were meant to drop down to there, however they couldn't secure a franchise, and ended up dropping all the way down to the SHL, which is quite a hefty drop. And I would not want to see the Flyers to have to go through something similar. The Flyers are, they're too historic an organization not to be in top flight. I think they deserve their spot, and it's just been unfortunate based off the first couple of years when they joined the Elite League, where they were a lot more in the mix especially with their younger Scottish talent and homegrown players. And we've seen that tail off over the last few years, and it has been a shame, but hopefully under this new leadership we'll see hopefully a return to that more competitive form and homegrown statements. Fingers crossed anyway.
Yep. John, being a Fife Flyer fan yourself in there, Fife, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, gotta agree with Dave in all aspects. I think the Elite League is where the Flyers should be. I think it's where they belong. I think as a storied organisation, they belong in top flight. What the statement does seem to put to bed is the rumour of Lee Mercer being the new owner that was put out. 4,000 Counting reached out to Lee about the rumours that he was one of the interested parties. He put out the statement through 4,000 Counting where he made clear that the National League was where he saw the future for the Flyers. That would seem to fly in the face of the statement that we've got from the Flyers organisation now about sale. They seem to be at pains to mention the Elite League. We've had the Elite League itself that said about the spot being secure for 2 years for a hopeful return. That to me potentially now puts to bed this idea that it's Lee Mercer. Now I've heard different things about where bids are coming from, which I don't want to go into. But it does seem that sort of maybe one particular rumour that I've heard does seem to be the one, especially if they're securing Elite League hockey. I think it's great. I think it means that we've got a 10-team league going forward. That to me is the biggest thing. A return to a 9-team Elite League is 2 massive steps backwards for the Elite League, for the product, and for what we're trying to put out there. You look at the successes that we're having in Europe right now. We don't want teams dropping out of the league and making it look unsecure and like a league that is teetering on the edge. That's not the image that you want to put out. So I'm thrilled that something's happening. I'm thrilled to see them stay in the Elite League, and I'm thrilled to see the Fife Flyers survive probably the biggest change in ownership that they've ever had in their entire history.
Yeah. Aaron, any thoughts before we move on from this story?
I think John and Dave have really summed it up. As John just summed it up there at the end, more than a thrill that they're actually continuing to survive. No matter where they end up, the actual team itself continues on. And personally, it's more of I think everyone here has a soft spot for the Fife Flyers. So them continuing on and hopefully staying in our league is a big thing. It would be, yeah, there you go. Him in his jersey. It would be amazing to see that investment and what that investment will bring to the Fife Flyers in EIHL. Could you imagine that we're seeing them mid to top of the table next year with some investment? That would be
I think
maybe I'm dreaming here, but that would be amazing.
No, I think you're spot on with that, Aaron. I think it can't just be a change of ownership. There has to be investment. There has to be change.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if we see a top team change in Kirkcaldy. I think that has maybe been indicated by Todd Dutium's jersey being retired just this past weekend. In fact, at the game that they won against Manchester, the first thing they did was put Todd Dutium's number 11 to the rafters. That to me is an indication that I think he may well be moving on from the organisation, at least from the Flyers. I know that he's involved in Kirkcaldy Ice Hockey Club in the rink. But what I'd really like to see, and I think I've been on about it all season with how bad things have been in Fife, is it's not just the team that needs a change and needs investment, it's the rink, it's everything around that team. The Crater Park car park needs
literally, I was about to say.
It's the first impression you get when you arrive there. Like, how hard could it be to just put enough investment in to just tarmac the car park, paint some lines on the ground? Now, I've been involved in stuff like that, and I know it costs money, but that needs to come through.
Money well
the
spent.
Rink needs done. The rink needs done. The Flyers should be in one of the best or rinks. I don't think they're ever going to be an arena team. I don't think they've got the pool for it just yet. I don't think there's the fan base for it. But they should be in one of the best facilities of its class in Scotland, at least, if not in the UK. So I would really, really like to see. They should be in a Cardiff style rink. That's what they should be in, and that's what I'd like to see them be in the next 5 to 10 years.
One thing that is one thing that that's always to keep in mind is that they currently have a absolutely gorgeous silhouette of a building, because it has the old hangar aesthetic. So whenever you drive up to it,
What's
it's also
left of
one
it
of the.
after this last storm?
That's true. It's also one of the only rinks that the rink dominates the surrounding. Most other places, the rink just disappears into the surrounding buildings. You go to like Cardiff just because it's by the water, the Giants is because it's by the water, but you go up to Kirkcaldy and it's like sort of on the hill. It's
But that's also because Kirkcaldy doesn't have any buildings that are more than 3 stories.
True. But yeah, if one of the owners isn't a tarmac company, then we might have serious concern.
We will move on. I'm sure we will be coming back to that story. If not in our next podcast in 2 weeks' time, I doubt there'll be any update by that point. But if there is, great. That was very quick. But more than likely, it'll be one of our off-season specials throughout the off-season, maybe later in the summer. Boys, let's move on. We are towards the end of the season. So towards the end of the season, we start to see players both leave clubs because they have been let go by their various different clubs or have been signed in other places. But at this time of the year, we also see announcements of player retirements and players announcing they're leaving the game of hockey. And the first two for this off-season occurred this past week after the final games of this regular season were played. The first one coming in the form of the Cardiff Devils. They put out a release to announce that Josh Batch has made an announcement after 13 seasons that he'll be leaving the Cardiff Devils. He came into Cardiff at the age of 20 and spent 13 seasons with the team, having lifted Challenge Cups, league titles, playoff trophies with the team. He has decided to make the difficult decision to move on from the team. He did put out a very interesting part of in his statement. It was very interesting and very open and honest about some of the decisions in relation to why this came now when it has. He stated this is his words, and he stated, "My decision has come over the course of the season as I've reflected on my family's future and ultimately what would be best for us in the long term. As a professional athlete, there has always been a lingering anxiety about life after sport, and I'm at a point now where I feel the opportunity cost of continuing to play is outweighed by the potential opportunities that lie ahead outside of the game. Coming to terms with this decision over the past few weeks has been very difficult. With roster situation this year, I haven't known when I'd play my final game at the Vindigo Arena, and Friday night I was holding back tears on several occasions, wondering if it was the last drive to the arena, the last time I see my son smile at me through the glass during warm-ups, and the last time I pull on a jersey, or the last time I hear the national anthem being played at a game." So boys, that's the first one. Josh Batch announcing his retirement after a significant number of years for that team. I mean, he is, we talk about players being franchise players. I think Josh Batch can be recognized as one of those franchise players for the Cardiff Devils, having been there for 13 seasons. Any thoughts on that?
He had a short stint in Storm, right? Did he come out of the 2000 and... Maybe my research is completely wrong. 2020 to 2021?
Possibly. Could be that playoff. Is that the 2021? Was that the COVID year? Was that no? Was that weird?
COVID Cup.
Was that weird season where people went in different places and you're like, what is going on there? I don't know.
Yeah, but
Garside playing for Nottingham.
Yeah, so it could be that could be it. So maybe they don't count that. And he doesn't seem to be counting that either, because he just talked about the Cardiff Devils and his heart being with the Cardiff Devils. The next person, the other player that has made an announcement this week of his retirement is Sam Herr from the Nottingham Panthers. Nottingham Panthers forward Sam Herr will be retiring from professional ice hockey at the end of the season. 32-year-old began his career with 4 years in the American Hockey League, joining the Panthers ahead of the 2019-2020 pain. He similarly put out his reasons. His main reason is because of his 2 little girls. His wife and him felt it was time for them to go home. They missed their families, and they have been traveling for the last 9 years for hockey, and they felt that it's now time to look at the world outside of hockey. He did state that Nottingham is where I wanted to retire, and I do feel guilty coming back for a year and leaving right away. This is such a special place, and I want to thank everybody for making it so special on behalf of myself and my family. It's a special city and a place where hockey players really find their passion for the sport, and that's all thanks to the fans. I'm just grateful I got the chance to be part of that and for another year. So there you go, another player and making his announcement of his retirement. Obviously, the playoffs this coming week and the playoff final, if they make it, will be his final games, a bit similar to Josh Batch. But yeah, first retirement announcements of the season have been made, and I'm sure that maybe potentially be 1 or 2, potentially more before the end of, well, just after playoffs, we may potentially hear of a few more. But again, we will try and update everyone, if not after playoffs, direct after playoffs, there's any changes. But we will update when we go into those summer specials and the off-season specials. We will update you with roster changes and signings as best we can. Boys, I think that's it for period one.
I've got one. You're not looking. You're clearly looking at the running order, not the camera. There's one that's just broken. One story that's just broken out of Glasgow, and that's that they have re-signed their captain Devin Sidorov for an additional 2 seasons.
Woo, 2 seasons.
Yep.
There you go. Anything else breaking before I move on to period 2?
Not right now. I am keeping an eye on one game so far, but you'll notice that there's been no interruptions yet, so that the game I'm watching is still tied at 0-0 in the second period.
No problem.
There was one topic that I thought we were going to touch on, and we didn't.
Oh,
interesting.
It's because you didn't put it in the running order.
No, well, we kind of it was in the running order, but not quite. Hudema. What right has he got to play like that?
Yeah, okay. Roll it back to the final league day. Yeah, Jere Hutema. Who is that guy? Why is he not been starting for Nottingham through the rest of the season? Bloody hell!
Yeah, he's very, very good.
Like, come on, like I think we can be all honest and say when we heard it was going to be the 3rd goalie that they put up, we were all like, okay, good news.
Honestly, it looked like a roll. It looked like they were rolling to prevent Sheffield, and as it turns out, nothing could have been further from the truth. Every single player on that roster came out to play, and do you know what? I don't want to be handed a win either in that sort of way. Even as a Belfast Giants fan, I wouldn't have wanted to win that in the same way that we won the Challenge Cup a couple of years ago against Fife. Like, I wouldn't want to roll a 3rd or 4th string netminder for 7, 8, 9 goals. But Jere Hutema, if he doesn't stay in Nottingham, he has put himself on the map
100%.
for next year for signings. Teams may well be clambering over him going forward, depending on what Nottingham do. If Nottingham might look and go, we had that in the roster. Like, what have we been doing?
Yeah.
There were several saves he made. The one that stands out is the save in the second period against Scott Conway. The leg save. Where did he come from? Coast to coast. He was completely on the. He was nearly like at the boards. Yeah, how he got across, I have no idea. But he made several saves like that. Not just that one. That's the one that stands out. But holy hell, what a game he had!
Yep,
massively.
Absolutely.
And I apologize for throwing a little spanner in the works just before the end of the period, but I thought that guy massively deserved a shout out.
You nearly threw a spanner in the works.
He nearly threw a spanner in the works.
It's completely fine because obviously I started this podcast by throwing a spanner in the works and changing everything around. So going into period 2, we will look at the NHL standings as they currently are before the Stanley Cup playoffs. Just as a reminder, Dave, just so you kind of remember that we're doing that. But yes, let's move on to our period 2 of hockey.
So this is period 2, apparently, where we talk about the actual NHL's league, and I have to do my favorite was it Channel 4 football voice, where we do Accrington Steinlau 1. That's all I hear whenever you do this, by the way.
So, Marty, is the idea here that you're going to give this completely over to Dave now and he has to run through this?
Well, if Dave would like to do it for the first time, I was willing to go. I was willing for him to pass it back to me, and then I would run through it as I normally do. But Dave, if you wanted to completely do it, feel free to run through the league, run through the standings.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Okay. I'll take over. I'll start us off then. We're just looking at the wild card spots as they currently stand on April 9th, 2025. So we're around about 2 weeks left, I think, of the regular season in the NHL. It does finish just after that after the Easter holidays. So in the eastern side of things, Atlantic Division, the Toronto Maple Leafs are sitting top with 77 games played at 98 points. The Tampa Bay Lightning are in second with 77 games played at 96 points. And the Florida Panthers are in third, 78 games played at 94 points. As we know, that kind of stayed the way it was from our last episode last week, and all three have clinched playoff spots. Metropolitan Division, then, the Washington Capitals are in top, 77 games played, 107 points. The Carolina Hurricanes are in second, 77 games played, 96 points. Both have also secured playoff spots, and the Washington Capitals have claimed the Metropolitan Division title there. I think that's why there's a little Y beside theirs. The New Jersey Devils are still currently sitting in third place with 78 games played, 89 points. The two wild card spots, as we currently sit, are held by the Ottawa Senators, who have actually clinched a playoff spot, and the Montreal Canadiens have played 70 games, played 87 points, and they're up against the New Jersey Devils for that final playoff spot as it currently stands. So all still to play for there. Oh, no, wait, no, because the merge. No, wait, hang on, wrong. New York Rangers is, I think, who they're. Is it the next one? I don't see how they're going to make a catch up. The New Jersey Devils, Montreal Canadiens are still not confirmed for the playoffs just yet. Across the country, then, in the western side of things, in the Central Division, the Winnipeg Jets sit top and have clinched playoffs, obviously, as well. 78 games played, 110 points. Dallas Stars are in second, clinching playoff spot with 70 games played, 106 points. And the Colorado Avalanche, also playoff bound with 79 games played, 100 points. Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights are 78 for top, 78 games played, 103 points. The LA Kings are in second, 77 games played, 97 points. Both obviously playoffs as well. And the Edmonton Oilers are in third, 77 games played at 93 points. And that final playoff spot there has not been decided. And the wild card spot also hasn't been decided. We have the St. Louis Blues and the Minnesota Wild currently holding those spots with 79 games played at 93 points and 78 games played, 91 points. Dave, I'll hand it back to you because it is your period. So you can ask whatever questions you would like to ask about the league standings, and also then move us on to the next stories.
Yeah, no problem. So the big thing that I always talk about is that Western Conference, and John will agree with me. Sitting there, we have three teams there: 93, 293, 191, still not clinched. Yet the Ottawa Senators in the East, 90 points, have clinched their wildcard spot. It's something that I've always had a issue with the conference/division system. It was best of if what you would want to see in your playoff is the best of the best. Do you disagree or agree, John?
Oh, I definitely agree.
It's always tough to watch. The West get thumped.
Listen, I've been watching my team get thumped the entire season, so like watching the entire Western Conference just try and kill each other is just exactly the same. Although I will say that the Preds managed to get an overtime win against the Isles last night, which was absolutely nuts. Game time goal with 20 something seconds, or maybe like 14 or 15 seconds to go actually, and then took the win in overtime. So I mean, small wins is what we're looking for now at this stage. Like otherwise, it's been an absolute abject disaster of a season. But yeah, the West is just an abject bloodbath.
And Marty, with the Maple Leafs looking like they're inroads to clinching that top spot, how's this season been so far?
I mean, this has been a dream season so far for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously sitting there in the top spot, held at top spot for quite a few weeks now, clinching playoff spots as well. I mean, as a Toronto fan, it's definitely been one of those key seasons. And John rightly kind of pointed out last episode, and he said he was jumping on the bandwagon of supporting the Toronto Maple Leafs going into the playoffs this year. I mean, it's been one of those seasons where you kind of hope that they can continue having that form that they've had in league, taking it right through to the Stanley Cup playoffs.
What game are we following anyway?
Guys, there has been a goal between the Great Britain women's team and Latvia, which we are about to chat about in a couple of minutes. Guys, the first goal of the game has been scored by Latvia 14 minutes into the second period.
That's not going to get old very quickly.
It got old very quickly about 6 podcasts ago.
The fans love it.
Yeah.
They do.
I just want to remind you that my
Do
services
they?
are available.
Do they?
As an NHL scud, because the Philly are bang at the bottom there, and then I bought a Bruins hat, and they are just one above.
They're rushing to meet them at the bottom of the table.
There was a rush to the end. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do Marty a favor and start going for the Caps or something like that to win.
So,
but
you missed last week's episode, Aaron, and we did make a joke at your expense. A joke with a slight, actual probably.
The worst part is he wasn't even taking part, and he didn't even listen.
I was on a train with no signal.
You've had a week.
We did mention, Aaron, that whatever team you follow tends to be the team that actually then ends up. Maybe you do scud a wee bit. So I was going to say, if you could just kind of steer clear, stay away from the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would really appreciate it. So
I will take money. So if you have a team that you want me to start supporting, let me know, and I will start to support.
We'll wait for the matchups, and then I'll kind of give you who I think you should go with. We'll see
or
how
is it money to start supporting the team, or money to not support the team?
Oh yeah, it could be money to not to support a team. That's a good point. Okay. I think I answered the question.
And I think Aaron, you answered what I was going to ask you about the Flyers as well. So what I'll do is I'll fire it over to John to talk about what he alluded to a few seconds ago, and then we'll end with Marty with the big news.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I thought Marty was going to start off there. It was just that confirmatory yep. So, yeah, guys, the GB women are taking part in the Women's World Championships Division 1B. They are playing in Dumfries over the next few days, and amongst many things, they released the squad a couple of days ago, or a few days ago now, actually. And great to see Katie Marsden back on there, who was on 14-14 last season. And actually, just want to say massive congratulations to her, because Team GB did put a post out today. She qualified as a doctor today as well. It was results day. So congratulations to Dr. Katie Marsden as well, who is currently playing against Latvia. So massive congratulations to her. Amongst many other things, tonight we'll see the first caps for Emma Lamberton and for, Lily Endicott, who earned their first caps for the team this year. And the leadership group was also announced just earlier today. And with Catherine Gale, who was originally one of the assistant captains but has been injured in the run-up to the tournament, that's meant that a change had to be made by Sean Alderson, sorry. Jodie Alderson-Smith continues as GB captain alongside Rachel Cartwright, and Beth Hill picks up the second A for Team GB. The full schedule for the competition, the Team GB are currently taking on Latvia, as I said, and as I say that, guys, literally as I said that, there has been another goal, and it is unfortunately Latvia 2,
Oh,
Great
dear.
Britain 0. And that second goal has come in the 19th minute of the second period. Their next game after tonight will be tomorrow, the 10th, where they will take on Korea. Then on Saturday, the 12th, GB will take on Kazakhstan. Sunday, the 13th, they'll take on Slovenia. And next Tuesday, the last game day, they will take on Italy, by far and away the strongest team of the tournament. Now, in warm-ups, Team GB did play Italy, and they were soundly defeated by Italy 7-0, although they did take a 3-1 win over Kazakhstan in those warm-ups. So, again, really, really interesting to watch these tournaments. The fact that this tournament is being held here in Dumfries, this is a Division 1B tournament, which has been held here at arena or at facilities like Dumfries. Just imagine if we can make the women's game a little bit bigger and we can get it into some of the arenas. It would be fantastic to get those big crowds to support the women's game as well.
100%. Couldn't agree more, John. Couldn't agree. Over to you, Marty, for the news that I'm sure a lot of our listeners have been waiting on us to talk about.
Yep. This is this obviously is something that we've been following throughout this season. We knew going into this season that Alex Ovechkin was chasing a certain record, and this was the season that he could do it in. And we also knew that he was trying to, I suppose, surpass a certain record in the number of games, which would be similar to the great one, Wayne Gretzky. And that is obviously becoming the NHL's highest all-time scorer by hitting 895 career goals, surpassing legendary Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky has held that title on 894 for, I think, almost 31 years, I want to say that's been held for. And Alex Ovechkin this season has finally put that to bed, scoring his 895th goal, overtaking Wayne Gretzky, I think, on the same number of games. Is that correct? Is that what that says? Or is it one game more?
So it's a same number of games, so it's an interesting stat actually, because some of the stats that were going out were actually slightly misleading. So while Wayne scored his 894 across 1,487 games, career games, he actually hit 894 at something like 1479. He actually had a handful of games at the end of his career where he didn't score. So the stat was somewhat misleading because a lot of people were getting excited that it looked like Ovi might have either equaled or surpassed on the same number of games, and yes, but now what Ovi is doing is actually surpassing the total games played by Ovi as well. So the record came earlier than Gretzky's final NHL game. So slightly misleading, but still absolutely amazing.
Yeah, obviously that goal was scored against the New York Islanders this past Sunday. The game was paused for 20 minutes as players and spectators acknowledged the historic moment. If you watch, you'll see that basically that Alex Ovechkin is stripped of his jersey almost in a matter of seconds, because that jersey is being taken to the Hockey Hall of Fame to be basically enshrined for future proof basically of this record, which people are saying is going to be hard to see being beaten anytime soon. The other thing as well is what we should remember is that this achievement is also a massive achievement when you think that his season was interrupted for a few weeks earlier in November when he broke his leg and had to recuperate from injury. So it is remarkable when you think he still made this achievement this season, given the fact that there was some doubt whether or not it would happen given the injury that he did have earlier this season. But there you go. The after all of that, after us looking at it all season, it finally happened right at the tail end of our Elite League ice hockey season. Still a couple of weeks left in the NHL, but it's been well and truly surpassed as of this past weekend.
Absolutely fantastic news, and not a record that will take a long time to to surpass. But what I remember I alluded to in our last podcast, Wayne Gretzky was never known as a goal scorer. And I would say it's going to be a long time till somebody beats his assist record, which is 1,963 assists, compared to Alexander Ovechkin's 700.
Oh,
Alexander
What
Ovechkin
does
had
what does that make
724.
Gretzky's total? What does that make Gretzky's total points?
That makes Gretzky's total points 2,857.
jeez.
Whoa.
And that is why he's the great one.
Oh,
That's crazy.
that's a really nice sign off there, Dave. Well done.
And with that, we'll move swiftly on to period 3.
Didn't
Shock the
play?
life out of him.
I didn't even play it. Hang on.
Period 3 is our general Noggy
Noggy
news.
News.
Noggy news, when we finally get there, is the period where we talk about anything and everything else in the world of hockey. Generally, a lot of jerseys, usually a bit of crack, and sometimes we like to talk about beer, Aaron.
So, oh, look at that! Look at that! Yes, there has been some very pretty genius marketing campaigns going over here at Budweiser, who cleverly celebrated both Ovechkin's milestone and achievement for the select few that let the 0 goals past them. Of course, while plugging this, actually, I'm very sad to say this. It took me a while to realize that this was 0% beer. I was just like, what? Why are they giving out beer to people? Took me a little second to figure out. Oh, it's
Drink
beer.
responsibly, everyone.
Drink, yes. So of course, we've just talked about Gretzky, Ovechkin's bit of Gretzky there of the 895 goals. And what this is 28 goalkeepers, I believe, that who in current history have not let a goal past them, so letting 0 goals past. Now they all in total, that's about 199 goals that they have all saved between them. But there's a few there that I can't read that. They're so small. I appreciate.
I've got the bigger image here. Do you want me to rattle through really quickly what the names are?
Run through some of them, and then of course you've got the main one there as well. But go for it.
So really quickly, Mike Condon, Matthew Garon, Manny Legase, Manny Fernandez, Rob Zepp, Michael Newverth, Eric Erzberg, Jocelyn Thibault, Jeff Zanktoff, Curtis Joseph, David Abshire, hope I got that right, Braden Holtby, Garrett Sparks, Vitek Vanicek, Akira Schmidt, Kevin Lankinen. Oh, wow, Kevin Lankinen. That's a Pred's name.
Was it today or yesterday?
Sorry?
That wasn't today or yesterday?
I know. Joel Blomqvist, Joel Hoffer, Anthony Stollarts, Eric Kalgren, Devin Levi, Jean-Francois Berube, Avrid Soderblom, Colin Delia, Trent Miner, Jacob Dobes, Joey Dacord, and Lucas Dostal.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. And we've got Vivek Vandikik. How do we say that? who blocked all 19 shots against him from Ovechkin. It's pretty cool. Now I've got to admit I'm not a massive fan of Bud. I'm not 16 years old anymore. But I would assume that these cans, if they are put on the internet, will go for a pretty penny. Question for you: if any other beer had done this, what beer would you want it to be?
Guinness Zero.
Guinness Zero would be mine as well, to be fair. If Guinness Zero put it out there and I saw one for sale, I'd want to buy it.
I would go with obviously Punk AF because it's my favorite non-alcohol-free beer. Yeah,
I don't have an alcohol-free beer. Water.
You can tell the non-driver among us.
Guys, I am going to move us on from this because I made a bet a while ago, and I'm not going to introduce it right now because what I'm actually going to do is play us all a little video where I am going to introduce it in the video. Several weeks ago, I made a bet. If the Five Flyers could win another regulation game under Johnny Curran before the end of the 2024-2025 season, I would get my nose waxed at my barber's in Kirkcaldy. Well, wouldn't you know it, they went and beat the Manchester Storm. So, come with me as we head down there and I face the consequences of my own actions.
Oh, that's not gonna fit.
It definitely feels like it's for someone who doesn't have a mustache.
Yep. There we go. It's beautiful.
Amazing. This is the end game cola for the month. No, that is just straight off like.
Who did you buy that from?
This Amazon. This is the Amazon recommended. Nothing but the best.
Pop your head back.
This is what I get for saying the Flyers wouldn't win another game.
Watch your finger. Tap that there. How does that feel? Can you feel it?
A wee bit.
Okay. Just leave it for a second. Right, you ready?
Fuck's sake. Thanks, Flyers. Oh, yeah, bastard.
Oh.
Show it to that one as well. I don't know what one's. Yeah, that nostril. Yeah, that nostril's nice and clear. That's great.
Right, you ready?
All right, go for it. Oh yeah. Oh, that one was way worse. Oh. Oh, there was mustache in that one, definitely, wasn't there? Oh my god.
Brilliant.
Clean as, but holy shit. Mustache is intact. Oh my god. Brutal. Thanks, Cola. What did you just say?
What are we doing when we beat Belfast next season?
I'm making no guarantees for anything right now. There might be a bet, but I don't know. We can talk about it in the off season.
Back's a bit hairy.
Oh, that was a bit of fun. Massive thanks to Cola for doing that. Good sport as always. Big Flyers fan as well. Tell you what, pretty sure I can smell colours now. And the other thing I can smell, maybe a Grand Slam. Let's go Giants!
Wow.
Follow through with it, guys.
I love the fact that it makes all sense why your mustache is all lopsided.
Do you know what? There is. What is this?
Yeah, there.
This side, there is ever so slight. There was like 5 or 6 hairs that were on the mustache, and it just came. But see the little like mustache protector. I don't know why they include it because it's supposed to stick, but it's not sticky. So it's clearly made for people who don't have mustaches. So what I will say is, very, very interesting sort of process to go through, but I can breathe. It's so much easier.
I'm confused. So is this a service that they usually provide, or did you buy it
no.
online?
So I got chatting to Cola about 2 months ago, back after Johnny Curran took over, and they got their first win under Johnny Curran, and that took them to 10 points. And I said, right, there's not another one coming. They had a really, really tough run in coming in right into, and I'll tell you what, it was this last weekend that had me worried because they were coming up against Manchester and Dundee, the two teams that were fighting for that 8th place, and I thought if there's a win to come, they could potentially sort of ruin something. I thought honestly it was going to be Dundee, but they went and railroaded. No, not really railroaded. It was an overtime win for Fife, but a win's a win. I made the bet. I followed through, and I lost quite a lot of nose hair as a result.
Yeah.
And did I miss the bit, or did I hear that you've made a bet for your back sack and crack if they win a game next year?
You coming over to do the waxing?
Oh dear.
So that's the exclusive. That will be posted tomorrow, or maybe tonight. Depends what I can be bothered doing. Either tonight or tomorrow on our socials, so everyone can see. So everyone who has come along live, you saw it here first, but that will be out on our socials as of tomorrow. So guys, just leaves you guys now. I did the bet this year. We need to have a chat in the off season about what your bets are going to be. And Aaron, you've beat me to the punch already. I was going to say what part of your body you're getting waxed, depending on what the bet is. But I'm sure we can be much more inventive as we go forward. Guys, there's one last thing for period 3. We are coming into playoffs, and we know what that means. It means playoff jerseys. Now, I'd really, really hoped that up till now, we might have had more of the jerseys released because we are Wednesday night. I think probably tomorrow is going to be the big day for jersey drops, which is slightly unfortunate that we've had to record a day early. But we do have 2 which are available for us to have a look at. And it actually highlights something quite interesting, I think. So the first one that was released a few days ago was the Guildford Flames. They released their jerseys, I believe, on Monday, actually. They were really quick in getting theirs out there. Guys, what do you make of the Guildford Flames playoff jerseys? Dave, I'm going to come to you first.
I like the white one. I think the white one's really, really crisp. I think it looks good. I'm not usually a big fan of their jerseys. I think they can be a bit. They can try and do too much with it, and I think the white one, they don't. The blue one, the dark one, is still pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the big stripe, but it's still nice. Like, it's still a nice jersey. Quite like the sort of texturing that they've put in the background. Sort of something a wee bit different. Yeah, not a bad jersey in my opinion.
It's interesting you talk about the stripe because that's something I was going to bring up, and I actually quite like the sort of slanted stripe that's on there. But what really, really annoys me is that they haven't changed the location of the arm stripes to match the chest stripe, and it stands out like a massive potential, like really cool feature that could have been across the jersey, and it makes it stand out as not looking all that nice. Marty, what about you?
Yeah, I think Dave basically took my thoughts exactly on that. I think the white one looks better than the dark one. And I think we'll see, and I think you're going to touch upon this, but I think the Elite League one that they put out for the Elite League jersey, which they always create, which fans can buy, doesn't look anything too dissimilar to this in terms of the designs, in terms of the way it's kind of pattern wise. So I think that's maybe just a kind of an idea of maybe what's going to happen with the rest of the jerseys across the league. Are going to look something similar to this with a dark color with the stripe through it and the white one not. I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm never a really big fan of the rhino printed playoff jerseys as it is. But yeah, it's fine as a design. They're never too inspiring. The colors are always a bit off, I think, whenever you actually see them in person.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Giants win this year game will just be green rather than teal. Yeah. But yeah, they are what they are. They'll still go for ridiculous money.
Oh god, yeah, of course they will. Obviously, we all understand the issues around Guildford and their ability to make replica jerseys. So that's just where they are. But Aaron, you're the last one to have your say on this jersey.
Just going Gonna lean over and copy your homework again, John. I actually really like the blue one. I think the blue one's far nicer than the white one, if I'm completely honest with you. I agree with you about the stripe with the armbands, but I actually quite like the slanted stripe in total. I do think that in both of them, we're probably going to see this across them all. Love the fact that there's very little sponsorship on them.
That's kind of always the way with the playoff jerseys, isn't it? Like
100%,
they
yeah. But
never really have
I
much
think
on them.
that's one thing that we usually complain about when it comes to the jerseys, and I think that's one thing that we can all really appreciate these.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. Marty, it's not actually the Elite League jersey I'm going to show off because we actually had another one released today, and that's the Dundee Stars. The Dundee Stars released their playoff jerseys, and yep, it is the same. It's the same designs roughly. We've got the slanted chest stripe, and the texturing is on there. There's actually, when you're able to zoom in and look at them, the texturing is actually quite nice on these. The only issue I've got is the standard complaint that we have with a lot of Dundee jerseys and a lot of Elite League jerseys in general when they don't take the extra mile with this is the sponsor. That bright yellow box is just a nightmare.
Yeah. It wasn't so bad in the last jersey because it was quite thin. You could squint and you could miss it. But that's bang in your face, isn't it?
It's also the box within a box.
Oh, it's huge. Like it's so in your face. Like they're ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like they almost couldn't find the one with the curved box. They couldn't find the one with the transparent background. I just slapped the other one on. No one will notice.
Is it just because it's a goalie jersey, or is the box on the blue jersey bigger?
I think it's just a goalie jersey.
Is it just because it's a bigger jersey? Like, it looks like it does line up in the same way with the logo. I'm not 100% sure. I think my eyes are playing tricks on me, but does anyone else get that?
I think it's just he's a big unit, and I think it just looks bigger.
Like he's a unit. I think it's playing tricks on my eye now that I'm staring at it for too long. Is it off-centered? Surely not. It must just be my eyes.
I think the jersey's just sitting in a really weird angle. I think that's all it is. But I think it's like sitting down straight because I thought the same. Yeah, I think it's just I don't think it's straight. I don't think his jersey's down straight, and that's why it kind of looks like it's at an angle. Yeah, it kind of threw me off too when I was looking at it, the smaller image.
And Anthony is agreeing. Now that he's joined us, now that he's finished his podcast, Anthony, we know, we're really, really sorry. We know it's infringing on your gimmick on your Wednesday night. Blame the guy at the top. It's all his fault. Guys, I don't actually have. I've been trying to click away feverishly here to get the Elite League jersey, but every image file I find is not wanting to display properly, so we don't have the Elite League one, but go and have a look at the Elite League's social media and look for the 2025 playoff jersey. Your eyes will be assaulted by a red, white, and blue mess, and if you really want to part 60 quid for a novelty jersey, all the best. None of them will be game worn.
One of the things that I sort of missed was, remember the Viaplay season, where they sponsored the playoffs, and the jerseys, the Elite League jerseys were pink and purple.
Yes,
I thought they were
purple
nice
and black. A lot of black
yeah.
because Viaplay was like black.
And it was
some of that stuff actually
different.
looked. Yeah.
Yeah, I did mind it, but yeah, fun.
It's interesting you talk about our previous sponsor, Viaplay. Another thing that was announced last night as an exclusive on A View from the Bridge, not to pump their tires too hard, but Mark Brooks either announced exclusively or let slip that playoff weekend, whoops, didn't mean to smack my mic there, will be on Elite League TV. So there will be, similar to how the Challenge Cup was done, there will be a full weekend webcast. I haven't seen anything about pricing coming out yet, so I don't know how much that'll be. They've also said that they're including the third place game. Why? I have no idea. Like, unless you want to sit at home and play a drinking game of spot the first player to throw up behind the benches, because they're absolutely still steaming. They moaning in the background.
My she's coming over now because I point at her. My dog is my dog. For anybody who doesn't know, I have a dog called Tonks. She was lying over on the bed and she just gave off the weirdest. And now she's climbing over here because I point at her. She's like, "Oh, I'm coming over to say hello." So that was her. Apologies.
Okay.
She was very loud.
That was interesting. So yeah, it'll be on Elite League TV, but the grand final, as well as being on Elite League TV, will also be on Premier Sports. So the only time we're going to see anything other than Glasgow Clan games being on Premier Sports is going to be the playoff grand final. So there will be ways to watch it, but still nowhere near what we expect. This is the grandstand event of the league. It should be on TV. It should be on free-to-view TV. We've said it for years. Nobody's listening. There endeth the sermon, and with it, period 3 mark.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, and with that, also brings the end of our podcast for this week. If you haven't done so already, check out our website, door14hockey.com. We can check out this episode and all previous episodes. You can also check out, you can get involved with our social media. Just get involved with the chat. You can drop us a message, or you can just watch some of John's videos on TikTok. We're on all social media at Door14Hockey. Check out this podcast on your podcast provider of choice, and all of our other podcasts as well. And don't forget to leave us a review, like whatever your podcast provider of choice is. Any reviews you do leave, it does help us in the algorithm and gets us out there for more people to enjoy. And if you have not already done so, you can go and watch our YouTube version of this podcast as well, where you get to watch John's nose hair being trilled out of his head. If you haven't watched it on our social media channels, you can go do that on our YouTube channel, and that is Door14 Hockey as well. And don't forget to subscribe somewhere around here and click the bell for notifications of when we go live and all that good old stuff that YouTubers say in their videos. You can tell I'm not a YouTuber.
Like,
okay,
comment,
guys.
and subscribe.
Yeah, you are.
There you go. Boys, with that, we will sign off for this week. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks' time after the playoff final weekend, which we will be able to discuss the final trophy of the season. Let's hope it goes to the Belfast Giants. And with that, we sign off for this week. I'm Marty.
I'm Dave.
I'm John. Up at Giants.
I'm Aaron.
Have a great week.